What is going on, guys? It is episode 357 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. You okay, Brett?
Yep.
Oh, he's just fixing something on the set. Anyway, we've got a two-person show today. Again, just sticking with that chill vibe. And we're going to be talking about a lot of industry news.
Yeah, unfortunately, I find industry news usually to be really annoying, but the writer's strike is very interesting, so that's what we're going to be doing first. Is that a stink bug? I thought I saw a stink bug for a second there.
I haven't actually seen one in days and days.
Not in a while. So we're going to be talking about the start of the writer's strike, ladies and gentlemen, the first since the 2007-2008 writer's strike, which, of course, ruined Heroes after season 1, but brought us the masterpieces that are Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen and James Bond: Quantum of Solace. So we will talk about that. We're going to talk about AI trailers. There have been a bevy of AI trailers that have come out on the internet lately that should make Hollywood suitably upset and worried about their jobs. If people can make trailers that look, a quarter of the way to decent, certainly they're not professional grade, but it's only 2023 and it's not going to be long before all of those losers in Hollywood are replaced by their AI overlords. So
I want them to just stop being losers and start making good content. I don't want AI to take over.
Yeah, not going to happen. Not going to happen. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Roman Polanski. He's in the news. And it ties in with Minka Kelly, who has an autobiography coming out, which is, of course, everything you expect a Hollywood autobiography to be in this day and age. It's very tell-all. So we're going to talk about Roman Polanski, though, because he was actually photographed with the woman he was convicted of abusing back when she was just 13 years old. And she's got some very hard to believe comments when it comes to that. So we're going to talk about all of that. And we're going to talk about Angelina Jolie and a bunch of other celebrities who have their own takes on monogamy, which are, of course, very pie in the sky and not realistic to what the average everyday person would have when it comes to what a relationship should be. So if you're ready, Mary, we can get right into it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so to start the show, I do want to first talk about Gran Turismo. I went on a journey of my own this morning, talking about this Gran Turismo trailer, which I missed right off the bat, says based on a true story, which I couldn't fathom or believe was real because the trailer just seems preposterous and absurd. It's basically, it's based on a story about an actual person whose name is Jan Mardenborough. And he won the GTA Academy back in like 2011, or he's the youngest winner of the GTA Academy.
What is the GTA Academy?
So it's a partnership. It was a partnership. It's no longer around, between PlayStation and Nissan, where they would take applicants who would then drive video game versions of Gran Turismo on like a course, with like a fake car, and they would compete for a chance to win, a chance to race. So it says he raced in Japan after all this, but he says he became the third youngest winner of the GT Academy competition, beating out 90,000 entrants, and was rewarded with a chance to drive for Nissan at the Dubai 24-hour race. He has now subsequently raced professionally every year since then. But when you watch the trailer, it just seems like an absurd theme of this kid who wants to be a race car driver, but he plays video games, and
he's a gamer incel chud.
Yeah,
who isn't cut out for the physical activity. But I thought that this, if it's based on a true story, it just kind of bases the true story in, I don't know, 30 years from now.
Yeah,
technology.
No, I'm guessing it's based on simulators that they use now. They have very high end simulators that race car drivers use to mimic course conditions and stuff like that.
But do they create like the skeletal frame of a car around
they do.
you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is it VR?
Yeah, it's basically VR. So you're
Did
watching
VR exist when this kid?
Virtual reality?
won?
Well, yeah, VR has been around for decades, but this is just
What I mean is like in its current.
Yeah.
What you think of it in its current iteration.
People were talking about this, and somebody says, I have a good friend who's into drift. Mike says he's got a good friend who's into drifting who built a whole setup to drive in Gran Turismo, and it's surprisingly close enough that it does translate to the real world. It's weird because my first thought was actually that they're kind of doing the driver a disservice by naming the movie after the game because it's based on his life story. But at the same time, it's not like I knew who this dude was, but I knew exactly what Gran Turismo was because I had a PlayStation back in the day. So it actually makes more sense than I thought. But yeah, it says based on a true story about Jan Mardenborough, who learned to drive playing the game before driving professionally in real life and competing against other drivers. Crazy. So the trailer just came out. I do recommend going and checking out. It's a Neil Blomkamp film. He made Elysium. And it's got Orlando Bloom in it, which, I haven't seen much from him in quite some time. But I do think it's worth checking out because I went into it thinking it was just a poorly made video game adaptation. But then at the same time, you're like, well, what would they be adapting from a racing game? I would like to see a Cruisin' USA video game. That was a racing game that I played when I was a kid.
I think that the trailer is promising. And at least it's not another derivative spin-off, whatever.
There's a big one there from Jacob Edler. Holy crap. Go ahead
Thanks,
and read that
Jacob
one.
Edler. He said, happy birthday to me. I turned 33. I'm giving you money, but it's from my granny.
What?
Glad to give back to a show that brings me joy every day, and I hope your day is blessed like mine.
I was wondering, happy birthday. I was looking
it's
in
your
the
birthday
chat.
and you're giving us a birthday gift.
Have you ever seen, I will ask Jacob and I will ask you, have you ever seen that, those videos? There's this amazing, it's not a meme, because I always call them memes. Because it's a social, it's a clip, right? And it's this thing where it's like, when you open your birthday card and you pretend that there's no money in it, you have to and the guy opens it and just a pile of money falls onto the table and he's like making eye contact with the card and just the card while he's ringing. Oh, thanks, Grandma. And he's just covered in
there's
money.
Money in it? That's crazy.
And the same guy who made that made another one from he made another one where it's like when you go visit your girlfriend and you go upstairs to your girlfriend's room and her dad's home and she's walking up the stairs first and he's walking up the stairs and his dad's looking at you and he's keeping his eyes just nowhere but the stairs because he doesn't want to look at her ass. Yes. Those are. I mean, do you call those memes? Because they're videos. They're not really memes.
Videos can be memes. Do memes have to be still images?
I call them memes because it seems like the closest analog to that. But yeah, I think this movie could be an interesting one, and David Arbor's in it. So whatever you think about David Arbor, he seems to be
a good coach, hard ass coach.
He seems like David Arbor seems like one of the actors that has mastered the ability to be to help people separate art from artists because everyone knows he's a douche canoe. But
really?
everyone David Arbor's insufferable.
How do you know that?
Follow him on Twitter. He's a social justice douche canoe on Twitter. Okay. But everyone likes his acting. So
somebody quote tweeted the trailer and said, wow, I wonder what societal commentary is going to be poorly ham-fisted into this one.
Because that's a Neil Blomkamp.
Because of his reputation.
Yeah.
He made a Halo short film.
It's going to be like, we're not expected to be drivers. Video game...
Is it more going to be about, the basement-dwelling chuds
us
narrative?
Video game writers, us video game players can't be race car drivers, as if...
Thank you. I think we're only going to get one party for that.
Yes. Well, I can set off the second one. I can do that. Oh.
You can, but should you?
I think he's earned it.
I think so, too.
I'm going to give a second one.
Breaking. Timcast writers go on strike.
Is that what it is?
It's so true. It reported from timcast.com.
It would be very interesting if the Timcast writers went on strike. I don't know if that's even possible because they're not part of the Writers Guild of America. If they were part of the Writers Guild of America, then they could. But I don't think they can.
No.
There we go. Second crisis party.
Okay.
There we go. We are caught up. Thank you, Jacob.
More profanities.
Hold up. Yeah. All right. I do recommend checking it out, guys.
Fucking minute. Let's go again.
Also, there is a poster out. I didn't pull it up on the screen, but I meant to pull it up. There's a poster out for Dune, and the trailer's going to be dropping tomorrow. So that's
for Dune
2. Yeah, Electric Boogaloo. Just once, I want one of these people to actually name their movie Electric Boogaloo, like the actual one. So. All right, let's move on, guys. So go check out that trailer if you haven't already. Obviously, we can't do that for copyright reasons. But we'll move on. Before we get started, guys, remember, please like this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. It helps us out greatly if you do that. Leave a comment on the video. That always helps us in the algorithm. And remember, all Super Chats, $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion, and we will read that Super Chat right there. And Yesh in the chat says, 2 in a row. Very, very disrespectful. They earned, the Jacob earned the second Crisis Party. How is that disrespectful? That doesn't seem right. All right, let's move on. I've grown to, as much as Mary hates the Met Gala, or seems to hate the Met Gala and this stuff yesterday, I spent most of last night hating it more than I already did, mainly because like the White House Correspondents' Dinner is probably worse, but the Met Gala, it's like at least the people in the Met Gala or at the White House Correspondents' Dinner are doing it because maybe they think they believe in politics. I think they're misguided and wrong, and I think that most of them do it for clout. But at the Met Gala, it's just art nerd douchebags dressing up like I can't say that word. Absolutely stupid people, right? And
you were going to say a slur?
Yeah, and I can't stand it because I look at what they're wearing and then I think about the other 364 days of the year where they sit there and they virtue signal and they talk about how they're so in with us plebs, right? They're not in with us plebs. They're basically a different species than us these days. They don't live in the same world.
I, on the contrary, think that they want to be perceived as almost a different, superior species, which is why they try to look like aliens. Doja Cat literally dressed up like a humanoid cat.
Well, I've got that. We're going to look at that one too. But more importantly, Jared Leto, like a humanoid, like a non-humanoid cat.
He was just straight up in a furry costume. Yes. Like he was fully in his fursona.
Just remember, these are the people that believe that they are the tastemakers and that they are the ones.
This guy runs a cult, by the way.
He does. Well, it's a cat cult. I would have used it for cute of the day, but it's not cute.
It's not.
It's not.
Not a moment.
This one might be worse, though. I think the one at the bottom is my favorite comparison, where it's this. And then somebody goes, spot the difference.
Janelle Monáe as whatever that was at the playground.
Yeah. Just remembered, and Janelle Monáe, which is funny because I like Janelle Monáe and Knives Out, but they're unserious people living in an unserious world trying to tell you how to live your life. And then, of course, we have Lil Nas X.
He like covered his entire body in silver paint and rhinestones.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that's padded. I bet you that's padded down there.
You think?
I'm just saying.
I didn't know you were so like strongly opinionated about it.
On it. All right. I just like that. Those were to me the most over the top and stupid of all of them. And also there was the AI generated Selena Gomez, which I don't know if AI is the word for it. It's just kind of Photoshop, right? Or they use, I guess.
All they did was face swap her.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like Selena Gomez's body.
I mean, if you didn't know what she looked like. Like if you didn't know what her body looked like,
I guess.
And she's gone through quite a few body transformations in her life.
Literally, no actual celebrities went to the Met Gala this year who we thought were going to be there. I saw a tweet that said it was people who didn't go included Blake Lively, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez, Anya Taylor-Joy, Bella Hadid, Zendaya, Emma Watson, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry. Like literally anybody that was invited who is of note, they did not go. And then they were coping saying that, they weren't invited this year. It's for fashion people only.
Why?
Like, that's just a lie.
Why was Brittany Griner there then?
Yeah, why was Brittany Griner? Wait, was Brittany Griner only at the Correspondents' Dinner?
No, she was at she was there.
At the Met Gala as well? Mm-hmm. Both? Just
Yeah.
on a tour?
Yeah.
That's insane. They have to cover their ground. So, like, Julia Fox had to go to the White House, and Emrata, like, held it down for.
Oh, I didn't
the
even
Met
get a
Gala.
picture of Pedro Pascal. He might have been the most annoying looking.
Pedro
out of all
Pascal
of them.
looked awful.
Yeah, with his red,
with like knee-high boots
in his
and
red pants, or his red shorts.
yeah, there was also like a train of somebody's dress or whatever, or cape that spread out over the entire staircase that had Karl Lagerfeld's face on it, and the caption on the photo was like, "The dick riding is crazy though."
Also, they showed Chrissy Teigen come in, and she had like 4 plebs holding her gown up.
Yeah, the worst part about the Met Gala every year is watching the plebs in tuxes running around either with or without masks. I think without masks this year, scurrying around the carpet, crouching below the camera line.
There was a cockroach on the red carpet this year on the steps of the Met Gala this year. That was the real star.
There
was like tons of videos of the cockroach going up the stairs.
Really?
Yeah, I watched
New
it.
York. The sorry state of New York is on display.
Yep. Oh, and in the chat, Jacob Edler says, "It's my birthday and I demand you like this video. Don't make me sad."
Yeah, give him his birthday wish.
Give him the birthday like.
Dua Lipa looked good though.
Yep.
Sydney Sweeney also looked good.
I was talking.
Margot Robbie.
I mentioned to Andrea the other night, last night. I was like, "Yeah, she's the only thing worth looking at in
Keke
Hollywood
Palmer,
these days."
you said she looked normal.
Yeah, like not good. She looked normal. She looked like a human being compared to all of these
Jenna
jokers.
Ortega looked kind of cool.
But as far as I'm concerned, Margot Robbie looked like a classically beautiful woman.
I mean, she always does. My point is just, I don't think she wears anything that like blows me away.
Well, maybe
because she has contracts with Chanel where she can't wear anything except for Chanel, which makes her dress older than her age, I think.
She's probably just really polite and knows that if she wears anything nicer, it'll give people heart attacks.
You know what? She's just an expert at staying perfectly under the radar.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yeah, she doesn't want to stand out. So, all right, I'm going to skip Woody Harrelson. We're going to talk Netflix real quick.
We're not going to talk about Woody Harrelson.
No, the hell with Woody. It's half political.
He's just,
He's being Woody Harrelson. All right, Netflix and other streamers now facing major Canadian regulation, guys. Canada, don't you say?
They want more representation for frostbacks.
Yes, us frostbacks, which I was officially voted as a frostback on Twitter, thanks to Jessica. Thank you, Jessica. I don't know if she's in the chat today.
That's not fair.
But that was not very nice of her to designate Minnesota as Canada. I don't think that's fair. Is Texas Mexico?
Is it anything that touches Canada becomes Canada?
Yeah, but I wasn't touching Canada. I was in Minnesota. I was in like the state of Minnesota in St. Paul, so I wasn't even up north. So I can't be Canadian. But it says basically that
it's like the cheese touch.
Yeah. It says hot on the heels of Netflix's hotly debated password sharing debacle, and that was a debacle. Deadline reports that Canada has slapped the streamer and others like it with a new rule that requires them to more fully involve the country in their productions. Fellow platforms like Prime Video and Disney Plus are also finding themselves caught up in the new legislation, which Canada is prepared to lay down the law should the studio not comply with the ruling. This means that Netflix and other companies named will need to up their Canadian-based projects by bringing in more jobs for creatives based in the country. The government is also hoping that in turn there will be more stories told about Canada's Indigenous population and others, and also celebrate its English and French language blend. As the heart of its change is the hope that the bill will provide better opportunities for those in the country hoping to break into the entertainment biz, which is interesting because Vancouver is like the hub of Hollywood productions. That's not Los Angeles.
The hub for Hollywood productions that are still set in generic American towns.
Exactly. So
they're not set in Vancouver.
No. Which is funny because I do like shows that take the risk of taking place in Canada. Like I'm a fan of the ones that
just
actually choose to do that.
Somewhere the real that matters, like Chicago or something.
That's what I like. There's a show with Jason Priestley and Cindy Sampson called Private Eyes, which is a very syrupy moonlighting type show from like 2019, I think. And it's really, really fun, right? They've even got, there was even like a mini backlash early on. Ooh, there's a $20 one right there.
From Gabby Hayes, it says, Brett, do you remember forever ago when Jorge Garcia from Lost wore cargo shirts cargo shorts or shirts on the red carpet with grease stains on them. My freaking hero. Also, Mary Dua Lipa is queen. P.S. 2-person shows are my fave. Popcorn emoji.
Jorge Garcia is great. He's a victim. I'm before I get back to my Canadian rant, remind me in a second. It was about Private Eyes. But like Jorge Garcia lost. He became a series regular in Hawaii Five-0 and actually made that show a lot better in later seasons. He unfortunately got stuck with this awful line in one of the later seasons when it went of Hawaii Five-0, where he talks about they're facing like the alt-right, and he says this alt-right crap on the internet.
Oh,
and he's like,
you mentioned that.
His character is a conspiracy theorist, so he's like arguing with the dude about Pizzagate. And
really?
And then uses...
I dropped off of Hawaii Five-0 after current year, basically.
Yes, well, I stopped around season 7 or season... I love that show, too. That's another thing. Think about all of the problems coming about Lilo and Stitch, and they could have just hired the Hawaii Five-0 casting directors and done it that way. And then there's one more $20 one there from Corn Pop, who is a bad dude. From what I've heard.
He said, Mary will... I don't know how to say any of this. Is this a different language?
I don't know what that is.
Yam per favores busame? Is
it French?
I don't know.
It sounds French. But thank you.
Well,
unless you slurred at someone.
Yeah, I hope not.
Okay, so I'm gonna get back to and sorry, Corn Pop, we can't read it. I don't understand the language, but we're not trying to shortchange you on your super chat. And in the show, it takes place in Toronto, and I always appreciated the fact that they use the Canadian money. And it gets to be different.
I think that this is actually just a ploy for Justin Trudeau to get the career in show business that he's always wanted, but went through politics to get.
Yeah, but isn't that like they're making that James Franco movie about Fidel Castro? They could just cast him instead. Just get rid of James Franco and cast Justin Trudeau.
The resemblance is uncanny.
And if you guys don't know, in Canada, as far as I know, on Canadian public broadcasting, they have to play a certain amount of Canadian music every day. Like the Canadian radio stations, they have to play. So
it's just Justin Bieber,
basically. Like,
or do you have to like,
Avril Lavigne?
He's kind of renounced his Canadian heritage at this point.
Yeah, Avril's
also Canadian. You forget these things.
What's her name? Something Strahovski or whatever. I forget her name. Or Stronsky. There's a bunch of Canadian. There's actually a lot of. Mariana's Trench is Canadian. I like Mariana's Trench.
It's been a long time since I thought about that.
Yeah, right. Like
I had like one song that.
No, they had a bunch of songs. Well, ones that I that was like one of the few pop punk bands that I actually really like. All right, guys. So just remember, like if you end up having to see a bunch of stuff where it seems like Canada's forced in there, it's likely Canada's fault for proposing this bill.
If anything, I'd like to see less Canada.
I mean, it will be interesting to kind of see where they go with the English and French language, I guess.
Degrassi reruns.
Or yes, that's true. They could do Degrassi reruns. So Drake, they claim Drake. Drake is Canadian. I keep forgetting that.
Degrassi reunion.
But I'm saying Drake is their musician. He's more their musician.
Yeah, they probably play a lot of Drake.
English and French language. Also, that dancer that I always talk about, the Enola Bedard, she's from Canada. She's French Canadian, so they can play more of her. All right, let's get started today, shall we? Let's do cringe of the. Do you want to do cringe of the day first, or do you want to do cute of the day first? We've got several cringes of the day today. First, we have Doja Cat vaping at the Met Gala, as if the first thing wasn't bad enough. Gosh, this is cringe. Like you can't. Like you're at this stupid show and you can't just wait.
But she's vaping there specifically to be like, I'm not like the other celebrities. I'm different.
And then there's this. This is even worse, guys.
How about this? Wow. I mean, who made it? Wow. Wow. Okay, so something a little different. So, what was your inspiration for tonight? Be honest with me and go into detail. Wow. Wow.
I'm ready for the asteroid, Mary.
Does she know that she's not funny?
No.
Like the thing that annoys me the most about Doja Cat is that
to
she thinks she's funny. Like the way that she
in there today?
Posts on TikTok and like
Is it your
does
first
stunts like this, you think that you're funny and you're not.
Also, it's the same meow every time. At least do a different meow every time you freaking.
At least have some inflection of
Yeah.
emotion.
It's very cliche. So yeah, and then of course people are saying cringe.
She's fallen so far from bitch I'm a cow.
Yes.
Like maybe she should have stayed a meme.
Yes. And then we've got one more. If that wasn't bad enough, the cringe is real with that one. Ugh.
Yeah.
And we have this one here. This says, at a Netflix event in London this week, they stuck signs over the toilets. The women's toilets and disabled toilets were turned into gender-neutral toilets.
The men's, those were left alone.
Of course.
You can see. So there are gender neutral people and there are men.
Very good
Those
to be
are
a
the
guy
two
these
genders.
days, guys. Boys. We're winning these days.
Yeah, that was
patriarchy.
Rare male W.
Yeah. Patriarchy reasserts itself.
But can you believe that? It's just so blatant in
Yes,
his faces.
I can absolutely believe that. The patriarchy is reasserting itself with heels on. So it is what it is. All right, and we have cute of the day. First, we have one that Mary herself sent us. This says 50% of pandas births result in 50% of panda births result in twins, but panda moms always abandon one. Therefore, zookeepers have to switch the cubs every few hours to trick the mom into caring for both.
This is a little sad.
It's probably
right?
what happened in my household, except for I'm not a twin.
I only saw this because Matt Walsh quote tweeted the video and said, "We need to stop trying to keep this species alive. They clearly should have died."
I know a certain somebody who's worked here that definitely feels the same way. So
yeah.
let's mute the music. I mean, that's usually in context when they're falling down hills and stuff like that. And I was like, why? They're like, why are we saving them? And I'm like, haven't you ever seen those videos of them eating bamboo? That will bring anyone's blood pressure down.
But no, I mean, I think koalas are cursed.
All right.
Don't they all have chlamydia?
I don't. That sounds like a Marilyn Manson rib removal-esque type.
I was actually just talking about that last night with Richie McGinnis, and he said that he once sat next to Marilyn Manson at a party or something, and he just felt really confident, and he wanted to ask him about it. So, and he was also not wearing his makeup at that time, so it felt like everything was more.
Marilyn Manson
real.
looks like a middle-aged aunt with.
He looks really bad with and without makeup. But he said he even called him by his name. He was like, "Listen, Brian Warner." So I heard all these years that you had a rib removed so you could autofellatio. And
did he say autofellatio?
I don't know what he said. And then we'll have to get Richie on to talk about this. And Brian turned around and said, "I've literally never heard that story before." And then he just didn't to confirm or deny.
Well, that's a lie. That's a huge. I mean, granted, I guess he wasn't in middle school when I was in middle school, so maybe he hasn't.
I don't know why everyone says this because I never heard this when I was in middle school.
Well, I was in middle school at a very different time than you.
Yeah, it must have been.
It was a different time. It was literally a different time.
It was the 90s.
It was the 90s. Well, actually, it was kind of the 90s for middle school for me. All right, guys, we've also got some PCC pets for cute of the day. First off, from Omni Travis on Twitter, he says, "This is Hunter with his giraffe toy."
I like the angles.
I do too.
The MySpace angle.
It's very high and away. It needs an undercut and the hair. Very cute. Very adorable. I want a dog. And here we go. This is Tux. He is a rescue from the streets of Minnesota. Well, you wouldn't call Tux a Canadian, would you? I wouldn't call Tux a Canadian.
I would never slander him like that.
No, of course not.
I like tuxedo cats a lot.
This is from Nathan Nels on Twitter. Thank you. And hello to Tux. You are adorable and you are not Canadian. And we have my Aussies, Sydney and Bean, left and right. This is from Christopher Kitt.
Wait, what's the breed?
It doesn't say. It doesn't say, but I'm going to like it right now. I didn't like it before.
In the 2010s, everyone got Shiba Inus.
Okay.
And then after that, everyone started getting this breed. I don't know much about it.
And the one's got the heterochromia like me. So.
Oh, yeah.
Or do I have heterochromia like it? I think I'm older than it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So.
you first.
Just slightly. All right, guys, those are very adorable. We're going to get started now. We are going to talk about the Hollywood writer's strike. Remember, guys, this is, in fact, the first writer's strike since the 2007-2008 writer's strike, which brought us masterpieces such as Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, and James Bond, Quantum of Solace, masterpieces, and other masterpieces like Heroes Season 2. I can literally already hear the comments yelling at me right now as I say this. Yes, the 2023 writer's strike is underway, ladies and gentlemen. And what they're saying is they've turned writing into a gig economy, and that they're not making residuals anymore because most of this work is coming from streaming services, and that they have to look for work more often as a freelancer. Boo-hoo. Because, you know, when you work for a network television show that's 22 episodes a year, you're working 10 months out of the year. Whereas when you're making 13 episodes for a show like this, you're not working nearly that much.
Not even 13.
No.
Usually we're talking 6 to 8 at this point. It's getting ridiculous.
Yes.
People are going to start putting out a show that is like 3 episodes per season.
Yep.
The output is less, like quantity and quality. The quality is less. So
they've also created a day rate, pay rate for sketch or for variety comedy shows.
They're also demanding proposals of mandatory staffing and duration of employment,
which is unrealistic in a time when the show could get canceled at any time.
And they do all the time.
All the time.
So how can you get mandatory staffing? How can you get guaranteed employment?
They want pay increases, structural model change, and they do point out that the median writer-producer pay has decreased by like 4 to 23% since 2015 or something like that. Look, the problem is they keep pointing out that entertainment executive salaries have ballooned and skyrocketed, but that's because the entertainment executives have, however successful you think they've been, successfully navigated this shift away from terrestrial television and into streaming. So their salaries reflect that.
A lot of things have changed since 2007 and 2008.
Yes.
Mostly for the worse. But
it is
on
a
the
vastly
bright side,
different it is a vastly different Hollywood landscape than it was back then.
Well, it's not just Hollywood though. Yeah. Like on the bright side, a lot of things outside of Hollywood have changed so that we have so much independent content available to us on all platforms. YouTube especially.
YouTube
Twitch. Was not YouTube in 2007.
No.
I mean, that was just the very trickling beginning of what it was going to be. So now that's blown up. There's also like paid content, paywall content that YouTubers offer too. And then there are other streamers like Rumble too that are competing with YouTube as well. And then on top of that, we've already got huge catalogs available to us to stream of all the old movies and old shows that we like.
You go back and like, you know it's funny on whenever Netflix releases its like top 10 streaming shows, NCIS is always on there.
There are always old shows coming back into the top 10s. I see it all the time. Yeah.
Yep. And
so, but when we were still relying on cable mainly, we were watching new things.
Yep.
And that's just not that you don't have to do that anymore. So, and then
they got to compete with OnlyFans now.
And OnlyFans as well. And, I mean, we actually do know that like porn websites are direct competitors with streamers, and
I don't know about that. I don't. If we're talking about attention economy, you could make that argument. But the person going out and looking for porn isn't the person going on Netflix.
No, I'm saying they're direct. Yeah, they're direct competitors in terms of being streaming websites. It's just a fact.
I mean, in the same way, like I guess that different video game platforms,
and that's why I thought that
competition.
That's the reason I thought that Netflix made that documentary about Pornhub.
A smarter person
exposing their scandals and stuff like that. You're making one of your own direct competitors look bad.
I'm a dummy, but I'm sure a smarter person than me could make a reasonable argument as to why they're not really the same, but I get what you're saying, that like in a lot of ways there's only a finite amount of time spent during the day, and in an age where men will do I want to watch 3 new episodes of this show, or do I want to go jerk off? Then the guy has to go decide, what does he want to go do.
Attention economy.
Also, they do point out streaming boom, but I want to point out that these services are now in the decline, and the streaming services seem to be losing more than they're winning because they got a huge bump from COVID, and that is now over.
They're also, I think they don't have any ground to stand on to whine about not making enough money, not getting compensated properly, when the output that they are giving us is just objectively shit. And they're also whining about artificial intelligence being allowed to encroach upon their jobs, their gerbs. Like, I literally looked at their proposals that they gave to the what are they called? The Motion Picture Association or whatever. They had a clause on artificial intelligence that said regulate use of this is their demand. Regulate use of artificial intelligence on NBA covered projects. AI can't write or rewrite literary material, and AI can't be used as source material, and NBA covered material can't be used to train AI.
What's funny
and then
is
it said that they rejected the proposal and countered by offering annual meetings to discuss advancements in AI technology. To figure out if those regulations would eventually be needed.
They'll probably be using the scab writers that they're going to be having on sets right now are probably going to be using a lot of AI programs to help write scripts.
This benefits them, if anything.
In the meantime, also for a lot of these processes, like right now, like it doesn't hurt them as much because a lot of these shows are already done being written. Like you write a whole season at once, right? It's not like a network television show where they're on episode 13 and they've got 13 more to go. If they write a full season of Wednesday, that full season is written. They don't have to worry about it. I saw a lot of updates today that were coming out about like this show will be affected. This show will not be affected because all of the episodes are already written. So it's not going to affect those shows until next season if that does happen.
Yeah, another ridiculous demand that they made was minimum number of writers per episode. I think they said minimum staff of 6 writers, including 4 writer-producers. They said 1 writer per episode up to 6 episodes, 1 additional writer required for each 2 episodes after 6, up to a maximum of 12. But as you said before we were live, some of the best shows are written by only 1, maybe 2 people.
The guy who wrote season 1 of True Detective wrote the whole show by himself with no help from anyone, and they just hired him on to take over the Blade movie going on at Marvel to like fix that hot mess that's going on right now.
The thing
$20
is,
one right there.
From Jon Stewart. #learn to code writers. Don't tell stupid people to learn to code. That's going to result in some
I do want to
bridges collapsing.
I do want to point out that they say that the companies have broken the business. I would say what's actually happened is shifts in technology have changed the business, and your job just hasn't changed. You haven't been able to adapt.
Well, maybe the job has changed, but I think they're more mentally ill and they're not making the same quality of content that they used to.
Yeah.
Plus all of the pressures of DEI and injecting societal criticisms into scripts.
It's going to be a lot harder because people just have infinitely more places to go now. Like, if their show isn't on anymore, how long are they really going to wait for a new episode of Succession if it's not written? They're not. They're just going to go watch something somewhere else. How long are they going to wait for a new streaming series? They're not. They're just going to go watch Twitch, or they're going to watch YouTube, or they're going to watch the next true crime podcast. Or even funnier, instead of watching the next reboot of Boy Meets World written by worse writers, they'll just listen to a podcast that talks about Boy Meets World, and then no writers get paid.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe that's not objectively a good thing. That you'd rather like watch a Twitch streamer than something that you could actually call art.
Yeah.
But as long as they are not offering any
They're
art,
not making art anyways.
any art, yeah,
They're making
that has
activism
any
that
value.
doesn't. They're making activism that is supposed to vaguely resemble art. And if you can't compete, that's not Twitch's problem. That's not YouTube's problem, and it's not any of these places' problem.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming the competitors for being the competitors. What I'm saying is like it's not a good state that we're in right now, where the best second-rate solution here is watching Mr. Beast videos.
It's also
I would
funny.
like to have a culture with art that matters and is like impactful and good.
They also
What they're putting out there is just not good.
And they're complaining about lack of residuals because obviously the shift to streaming means that the residuals on streaming are a lot less. I don't even know how that compares because given the number, the way that the companies are traded. But
These people are
if you
overpaid.
want better residuals, you should write something that's got replay value. One complaint I'll have in everything that we've watched in the last couple of years, where I've given better reviews than you or anyone else, or at least more charitable, like better as in like more positive reviews. As much as I've been okay with most of it, none of it's got any replay value. None of it.
None
Zero.
of it that's going to have any lasting memory in the culture.
None of it.
You're right about that.
I rewatched.
But like these people are overpaid, if anything, and a bunch of them are diversity hires.
Yep.
There are so many initiatives just completely toppling this industry over on its head because you have to make sure that a certain number of Pacific Islanders are in the writer's room, or you have to have consulting contracts with people of different minority identities. It's never ending, and it does hurt the quality.
So this was something that Bonfire legend Dallas posted on Twitter today. It was a repost from the Producers Guild. It says, the Producers Guild, I'm going to put it on screen here. The Producers Guild of America stands with the Writers Guild as its members seek fair and equitable compensation for their work, making the difficult decision to strike in order to create meaningful change within our industry. We believe that everyone working in the film and television industry deserves to be fairly compensated for their work and receive essential benefits. He then, he adds on the post, he says, producers are partners with the studios and buyers who set the budgets and schedules. It's hilarious to think that making a statement is a real commitment to change, because they kind of have to. They all have to pretend like they're on their side, because it's a union business, so they're all in separate unions, so they need to show at least some form of solidarity with all of this, and it's all fake and it's all stupid.
One person mentioned that something bad that could be replicated from the last strike is the boom in reality television.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that was a good thing because if you don't have good shows for people to watch that are artful, then of course something is going to take its place in that vacuum of power, basically. And reality TV is a very powerful medium.
They'll just bring Mr. Beast to YouTube, or they'll just bring Mr. Beast to streaming. They'll just start instead of reality.
Well, it's like,
TV
does Mr. Beast even want to take that deal?
No.
I think that he has more money to be made on his own platform.
But these what they'll do is they'll find mid-level streamers or something, and then they'll find a way. I don't know what the
it's
solution
not
would be.
stylized the same way that reality TV is.
No.
Though.
But they will find ways to incorporate.
And reality TV takes writing too, but less of it. But I just think that a return to some really good salacious reality TV shows would be a great thing for entertainment right now.
Infernal Machine is right. I forgot. We brought this up before. I remember there was that absolutely bonkers article where they blamed Donald Trump's presidency on the 2007 writer's strike because it meant that there was more of The Apprentice. And then they said that because of the writer's strike in 2007, 2008, The Apprentice got renewed, and it started the cult of personality around Donald Trump.
The cult of personality around Trump. Trump already had it before The Apprentice.
Yes. So
that's a bizarre take. I'm really happy that this is going to tank some late night shows, though.
Yeah,
if The Daily Show wasn't doomed already from having the guest hosts like Lizzo on it. I think it's time.
If they want residuals on stuff, they should try making stuff that people actually want to watch.
Well, I mean, the medium doesn't give you residuals. The streaming medium doesn't.
No, they do. They're just less so.
Yeah, it's just...
It's less so. But I'm saying, like, hey, then you better make something twice as good so people will stream it more times. We're just asking you to level up, writer. Be better, as they say, in their ilk.
This other report said that these late night shows drew about $700 million in advertising in 2018. And then by 2022, the total was about $400 million for advertisers, drop in 41%. So clearly nobody is watching late night shows anymore anyway.
Nope.
And them going dark for who knows how long because of the strike.
There's going to have to be a Cast Castle writer strike episode.
Good thing.
A Cast Castle writer strike episode.
Yeah, we could do that.
Wesley just picks up his pen and just throws it down.
Well, Wesley's doing more than just the writing. Yeah. He's doing all of the.
He can strike on multiple fronts. He can strike as a cameraman. He can strike as a writer. He can strike as an actor. He can strike in multiple forms. Be fantastic. He can just hunger strike at this point. I just. It shocks me that people think that they're going to be on their side when the number one complaint everyone's had for movies and television for the last 10 years has been writing.
Here's what Seth Meyers had to say about the strike today, actually. He said, I love writing. I love writing for TV. I love that we get to come in with an idea for what we want to do every day, work on it, and have the pleasure of coming out here. No one is entitled to a job in show business. But for those people who have a job, they are entitled to fair compensation. They're entitled to make a living. I think it's very reasonable demand that's being set out by the Guild, and I support those demands.
This is like when Bernie Sanders said that he would pay people $15 an hour and then just drop their hours per week.
Or maybe they could get a UBI.
Yeah,
from
like it's like they don't understand basic economics and that there's no return on the investment for any of this crap. When you push out this much garbage that nobody wants to watch, what do you expect?
I don't know what they expect.
All of the good writers are going to be fine.
I think that they have like a huge complex about the meaning that their careers give to their lives. For most people don't have careers. They have jobs. And their job is just one component of their life that makes everything else that actually means something to them possible. Yeah. It's like having a community, having relationships with their family and friends, or participation in religious institutions and volunteering and having a pet. I don't know, like all sorts of different aspects of your life. Most people don't derive their entire self-worth and identity off of their career, but people in Hollywood do, both on and off the screen.
I mean, I think that's more common than you'd think in America, like for people to put their focus on their careers. Like they see
I would say most people don't derive their whole identity or self-worth, or even the majority of it from what they do.
Well, people working jobs, no. But people with careers, I mean, lot of people...
But most people have jobs.
Yeah.
Not careers.
Like I'm thinking about like what is Vince Gilligan thinking about this, right? He's Breaking Bad,
yes.
And all this stuff. Like, what are those writers? What is Taylor? What's his Taylor Sheridan? What's he thinking right now? He's as much of a writer as he is a producer and a director.
So he's
right?
part of this.
Yeah,
he has to comply.
Any one part of the at least as far as the writing.
Well, what if he doesn't?
I mean, I don't know what the point of that would be.
What is the repercussion for not?
Well, he wouldn't want to because theoretically he would want to wait for better bargaining terms. But it would be different for somebody who's also a producer.
This doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Like the last writer's strike lasted 100 days, and I think the one before that lasted 153 days. So we could have like
in a different landscape.
Yeah, it could be a very different world by that point.
I'm also glad that one unintended consequence of this is that Pete Davidson's return to SNL has been delayed.
That is also
SNL is just putting up reruns, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we can't have any more Molly Kearney talking about trans kids. So that's a relief.
I'm gonna read a comment here. This is good. It says, not a newbie, dude. Says, I agree with the writers on guaranteeing a certain amount of episodes. Some shows like Designated Survivor sucked because individual episodes would be good, but they kept changing the writers up. That there is an argument to be made here. Like if you look at a lot of these shows, they cycle writers in and out in a way that they used to do with directors. So the best shows should have small writers' rooms that are working consistently throughout the series, right? You shouldn't be bringing in random writers throughout the show who aren't going to understand the tone of the show and are going to have a hard time matching with what's been done before, if for no other reason that they might not be caught up on all of the lore and backstory. Like one of the worst things is when something's written by a writer who hasn't written previously for the show and you notice like character backstory arcs that don't match up to the character because you've been following the show closely and whoever's writing it just clearly hasn't. So there's an argument to be made there. But also you have to be fair. These writers, these people in Hollywood have lost the right to have goodwill from us to be on their side with all of the crap they've pulled in the last decade.
One aspect of this that is sort of a hidden from view is that this really puts a disadvantage on the crew.
Yeah.
That work on shows and movies.
Yep.
Like the crew has nothing to do with this. The people who literally build sets, who do sound, lighting, etc., costuming, all of these people are now out of a job if new productions aren't in the works.
Yep. And those, I think there's other aspects.
And it's all because the writers are entitled.
Yep. Jonathan W. says, this is really good. He says, the highly successful ones will still be getting offers and work. Yeah. The best, and it's kind of like natural selection, right?
Well, it's
the
good.
best writers will still get work and will still find ways to make money.
But
it's
won't
kind
they
of the
get
same argument.
kicked out of the union for doing so?
I mean, a lot of these scripts have probably already been sold off, so they're waiting on it. It depends on how long it is. They've got enough money saved up that they don't need to work the whole 100 days. Now, the journeyman writer who's interning at 911 on NBC, he can't afford to not work for 100 days, right? So,
sure.
I also think they should bring back mandatory in-person writers' rooms. They shouldn't be working over Zoom.
Yeah.
Not even because like I think that it's stupid that they're working like that they get to work from home. I'm saying that I think you collaborate better in person. I think if we
it's both.
I think if we prepped this show not in person, I don't think we would have the rapport that we have.
It's like if you try to have a therapy appointment over Zoom.
Yeah.
Like it's just not the same. And that's another reason I think they are overpaid.
Yeah.
You should have to go through some kind of trouble to do your job and not just sit on a Zoom call and have innocuous meetings.
The meeting to set up the next meeting?
Yeah, meetings to set up the next meeting with like 15 other people writing equally vacuous garbage.
And I do think what this will prove is that the independent content creators, Holyverse says independent content creators will thrive. They're a different breed of person who's been raised to not, like I've pointed out several times that one thing I think Gen Z has going for it is that they are not tied to the fear of like the need for security in their job the way that previous generations were.
What do you mean?
Okay, so they've grown up on the gig economy. They've grown up on uncertainty from work. They're willing to take risks to try things like be a content creator and create stuff on their own. They're not tied to the idea that they need that 9 to 5 to make sure their bills get paid. They're willing to do something like start a YouTube channel, do something on their own that might or might not be successful. And a lot of these writers aren't used to the fear of not having guaranteed income, right?
Okay.
Even in an industry where they're looking for work on a regular basis. Like I said, I've worked freelance, and freelance work, to work on a job for 10 months out of the year is a luxury in the freelance field. In a freelance job, you're going from job to job to job. That's just the way it is. If anything, the growth in projects shouldn't be looked at necessarily as a downside. It's saying, look at all of these new opportunities that you have all the time to write for new projects that can test your ability as a writer. And if you're truly gifted, or if you're getting better as you go, you should be constantly you'll have to constantly prove yourself, and eventually your work will speak for itself. It's not an easy thing to do, but I think content creators really understand that there is no certainty anymore in these fields.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that we saved talking about AI cinema for today.
Yes, let's just go right into it.
It's basically the replacement of the writers who are going on strike.
Let's just go right into it and let's just talk AI.
Yeah, so I recently came across a trailer for a completely AI-made movie, The Great Gatsby. I guess it's just...
It's Gatsby.
A Baz Luhrmann-inspired cat film made by an AI technology called Runway's Gen 2.
Which it looks like it's kind of just like a stable diffusion type text to...
A realistically and consistently... realistic and consistent way to synthesize videos applies the composition and style of an image or text prompt to the structure of a source video to video, or using nothing but words.
Yeah, text to video.
Filming something new without filming anything at all. No lights, no camera, all action.
Let's watch the Great Gatsby, shall we?
Sure.
All right, here we go, guys. The Great Gatsby.
People were freaking out about this on Twitter.
Oh, the music. I don't know if the music's copyrighted.
I don't think it is. I think it's all of it, he said, is AI made.
Oh, I guarantee you. If we get copyrighted, we'll cut this part out.
In a world of glamour and intrigue where nothing is quite as it seems, one chance encounter leads to a night of unforgettable adventure.
Okay, I'm going to say right now, AI needs to work on its epic trailer voice.
They will.
The music, the atmosphere. It's like stepping into a whimsical dream.
Care to dance and make this dream even more enchanting, madame?
Featuring stunning
They
dance
all have 6
performances,
fingers.
unexpected twists, and a touch of feline elegance. This whimsical...
Given the fact that most of what is put on streaming these days is designed to be watched while you do chores, this could very easily...
Yeah.
and captivating romantic comedy set in the glamorous 1930s era is sure to sweep you off your
The faces are so creepy.
Yeah.
This night just keeps getting more and more
Just don't look too
peculiar.
closely.
Well, they do say that curiosity killed the cat. But in this case, it seems to have given it a double life.
From the visionary creator of Taste of Duality comes a movie that will leave you spellbound and craving more. Get ready to experience the magic of
Leonardo DiCaprio, but not really.
Great Gatsby. A celebration of passion, humor, and the pursuit
I like
of the
cats in
perfect
tuxedos.
romance.
Is Jared Leto in it?
Coming soon to a screen
That's
near
him.
you.
It's like Babylon meets Cats.
Yeah, I think, but not as creepy as cats.
Dude, just
somehow.
think about where artificial intelligence will be in 5 to 10 years. And think
So-
about how little these writers have to look forward to.
The guy who made this is Christian F on Twitter. He said, pushed Gen 2 again and made a movie trailer. AI cinema is finally here. Every shot made from text prompts, except one iconic shot you all know. That was the Leo DiCaprio
Everyone's
one.
saying Leonardo
Done with Gen
DiCaprio.
1.
They're saying Leonardo DiCaprio.
Done with Gen 1, which is also made by Runway.
Yeah.
And then he said that the voice was made by 11 Labs, the voice AI system. And then I saw a whole other thread of just like at least 15 different AI made trailers of similar quality.
My personal favorite is
We have a few others.
My
to
personal
show
favorite
you.
is the pizza ad.
Yeah.
The
We got an ad
absolutely
for a pizza restaurant that doesn't exist.
terrifying pizza ad that will make
Pepperoni
you
hug spot.
it will make you rethink your life.
Are you ready for best pizza of life? Bring
you're not
friends down to
showing.
Pepperoni
No,
Hug Spot.
you guys have to watch this. Hold on.
Are you ready for best pizza of life?
Best pizza of life.
Bring friends down to Pepperoni Hug Spot. Our
Why is
chefs
the
make
voice
pizza with
so
heart and special touch.
creepy?
Cheese, pepperoni, vegetable, and more secret things.
Secret
Need
things.
delivery? Pizzas come fast. Knock knock, who's there? Pizza magic. Eat Pepperoni Hug Spot pizza. Your tummy say thank you. Your mouth say
The mouths are so creepy.
Pepperoni Hug Spot. It's like family, but with more cheese.
Love that. And then someone commented, Will Smith eating spaghetti feels like 5 years ago.
I'm telling you right now.
Technology is incredible.
Like when you okay, then guys, you guys have to ask yourself this question: would you rather watch this or watch something created by someone from Hollywood who hates you? Then now you have to make a value judgment: pepperoni hug spot or rich Hollywood writer who hates your guts.
Someone said I'm in marketing and I feel out of a job. Nice work.
Well, there you go.
And then we've got another one, a trailer for a Star Wars movie directed by Wes Anderson.
In a galaxy far, far away, prepare for a reboot like never before. This summer, Wes Anderson brings you a side of the Star Wars universe you've never seen before, the Galactic Menagerie. Join this ragtag crew of unlikely heroes as they navigate the absurdity of the cosmos, challenge the Empire, and redefine what it means to be a rebel.
Our mission is simple. We steal the Emperor's artifact, save the galaxy, and maybe find ourselves along the way.
For this mission, we'll need lightsaber, blaster, thermal detonator, paper airplanes, spare parts, and R2-D2.
With a star-studded ensemble featuring the galaxy's most eccentric cast, the Galactic Menagerie is the most delightfully offbeat Star Wars adventure yet. Starring Timothée Chalamet, Scarlett Johansson, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, Jeff Goldblum, William Dafoe.
Who the hell turned Jeff Goldblum into a crackhead? That's what I want to know. Like, look at Jeff Goldblum. Looks like
I don't know what happened.
Jeff Goldblum looks like he's hit a few rocks in his day in that trailer. It's his cheeks are all sunken and even farther than normal.
Goldblum, William Dafoe, Adrian.
Wait, what?
Adrian
Did
Brody,
they say Willem or
Bill
did they say
Murray,
William?
Jeff Goldblum, William Dafoe.
It's Willem Dafoe. I made that mistake.
Mispronounced it.
I made that mistake on an early episode of the podcast, and literally I heard about it for like a week. Called him William.
Adrian Brody, and Owen Wilson. Coming to theaters this summer. May the Force be with you.
Wow.
Look, given that Hollywood writing is all boilerplate garbage now these days anyways, I'm just saying they could go and do this.
Wow. And this was made by Curious Refuge.
Yeah.
And
nobody's saying that this stuff is obviously is ready to be watched now, or that it's going to be making a movie now. But we're just saying that technology evolves very, very fast this day and age. And as actors become more annoying, as writers become more annoying, as the industry gets harder and harder to deal with, eventually some producer's just going to be like,
the human writers are more of a hazard than they're worth at some point. And
one thing that I could see coming this way, and it's probably already happening, is like drone footage will become obsolete because they'll be able to just do that. They probably already do a lot of that in Stable Diffusion.
I think animation is going to be replaced sooner than live action.
I think
AI-generated animation.
I think
shows.
handmade. I think there will be a regrown desire for hand done animation. And more art-focused animation. So, like, stuff like...
Or can it mimic handmade art?
It won't be the same.
Animation. How do you know it won't be the same? That's the question is, like, how do you know that it won't be the same or better than what we had before? Now,
JC Wolf in the chat says the AI overlords can take over if they give us gems like these.
I'm really not worried about AI replacing people or killing us or like plotting to kill us or taking our gerbs or whatever, because I think there are always going to be things humans are capable of that machines are not.
I mean,
because we have souls. But if you don't believe in souls, that we have some that we have something that machines and plants and other animals don't have, like most people today, then this is going to be really scary for you. But I don't find it scary. I think it's interesting, and it's a tool like any other tool. And it can be misused.
I do find it interesting that it seems like for most people the immediate instinct when it comes to stuff like this, especially new technology, is immediately fear. Obviously, out of fear of losing work, fear of something new, fear of the unknown, people just get scared and then they worry about that stuff. I understand that, but I think that the most industrious of the people in the industry will find ways to use this to their advantage. And I think that there's a possibility that something very interesting could come from this writer's strike with less qualified writers using AI to help them write scripts or something like that. that.
What
Maybe
if you
something
make one
amazing
that's
we'll
like
get.
half real and half not real? Or okay.
Yeah.
What if you wrote a real movie, but only one character is AI generated?
Yeah.
Like all the rest of the characters are written by people and acted by people.
Be an interesting
But there's
test.
one character like a Joy in Blade Runner who actually is AI generated and not Ana de Armas.
It'd be very interesting to see if they could write that and wait to see if anybody could notice, like through the writing, that was the character that wasn't written by a person.
That would be funny if
I
you
think
did that
people
with
would be
like
able to
focus
tell.
groups.
Yeah.
But like I think people would be more likely to go see it if it's like something new like that, because actually somebody commented like, what is Star Wars if not jumping on new technologies before they're really ready to make something like a fleshed out product? Like creepy Carrie Fisher.
Oh man, well yeah, and they love to do that. They love to do all those types of. I mean, we had the Tupac holograms back in the mid 2000s and stuff like that, and that stuff got implemented. But also there was in Ghostbusters Afterlife there was Egon.
Okay.
So they did this, or they did the same thing in there because the actor who played him had passed away. So and people thought that one was well done.
Yeah.
So.
It's just there are too many examples of it not going well.
Yep. All right. I just think that it'll be interesting to see where it goes, because the biggest complaint we have is that everything feels like it comes off an assembly line. So
it already feels robotic.
It already feels robotic with most of this stuff anyways. So what's the difference to the average person? Like if it's assembly line AI, I'm not saying us, but I'm saying like the average person. Does the average moviegoer doesn't pay attention to who's writing this stuff, doesn't pay attention to what's going on. Does he care if it was written by an AI or does he care if it was written by a person? I would guess that the average person doesn't care.
Yeah, I think AI is only a real threat to writers or directors who are
not talented
as it
enough.
is offering content that doesn't resonate with people.
Exactly.
I saw this one tweet from Sovereign Bra. He had made a prediction. He said, 3 years ago, AI-generated art looked crude and ridiculous. Look where it is now. By 2027, AI will probably be capable of generating photorealistic video content indistinguishable from real life. And those capable of harnessing it will wield immense cultural power.
Yeah.
And just like imagine what we've just watched, which is crude relatively, but like leveled up over the years.
Ooh, somebody mentioned, Paul Walker in Fast and the Furious 7. They actually did a really good job. When they did Paul Walker in the Fast and the Furious, his brother was his stand-in for the scenes that after he'd passed away, because they have similar facial structures, so they were able to build the AI modeling on his face off his brother's. And like when you watch the scene where him and Dom pull up next to each other in the last scene, and they show his face, and they didn't have to do this either. They could have stayed a wider shot away from him, but they went for it, and they spent the money to pull a good mid-range close-up from the outside of the car where you can see his face very clearly. And if they had cut it a second earlier, it probably would have been, you probably wouldn't have known that it was done with CGI. But they left it, and it's only really noticeable if you're watching it really closely. Like if you hadn't known that he had passed away and you watched it, you probably wouldn't have been able to tell that he had that it was fake. But because you knew that he'd passed away and that shot was shot after the fact, you can tell that the way the face sits on the painted on face sits on the face of the person who sat in there, it feels like it's floating a little bit. But they're going to get better and better at doing that. So it's going to be interesting. Also, did you see the thing about the godfather of AI at Google quit out of fear for?
No, I didn't.
Oh man,
who was that?
I'm going to look this up right now. The people in the
was
chat.
That recent?
Yeah, it was like literally just in the news today.
There's a lot that he's probably contractually obligated to not reveal.
He's in a tweet Monday. Let me look. The godfather of AI leaves. I'm gonna find an article that's less pretentious looking than that. Godfather of AI resigns from Google, warns of the dangers of AI. Dr. Jeffrey Hinton is understood to have worked on artificial intelligence his whole life and is now warning how dangerous the technology could be. He says in the New York Times today, Cad Metz implied that I left Google so that I could criticize Google. Actually, I left so that I could talk about the dangers of AI without considering how this impacts Google. Google has acted very responsibly.
Okay.
Yeah, so he says, he talks, he goes, and there's a whole tweet thread of them talking about AI concerns about AI taking over tech jobs, AI doing all this stuff. So, we're getting to a point now where person of interest is becoming real, and eventually we'll get to see the machine and Samaritan battle it out, and it's going to be very, very fun to watch. I'm going to enjoy it. So. All right. Shall we go to Super Chats, Mary?
Okay. Andrew Jacobs said, Mary, why on earth are you drinking Starbucks when you have delicious Rise with Roberto Jr. cast brew coffee? Well, the Starbucks that I was drinking yesterday was purchased by Tim Pool himself.
Before the Rise of the Roberto came in, I think. Anyways.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hearing conflicting reports, but it was a hot chocolate anyway. It wasn't coffee. So until we have cast brew hot chocolate, then I'll have to be relying on hot chocolate that hates me. X said, Happy Paranormal Day and Constitution Day. I didn't know.
I
guess that's my day.
There's an amazing meme
Ghost
of David Duchovny from the X-Files. He's got his coat hung over his shoulder. He says, "We've normalized enough. It's time to paranormalize." It's that's what we need. We need to stop normalizing. We need to start paranormalizing. Yeah. Also, okay, this is an aside, and I'm gonna have nowhere else to lay in this complaint because it's not gonna fit anywhere else. But okay, I was watching the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and I've got a complaint here. This is something that I notice happens all the time in television shows. You watch a show, right? This is a show where they literally go back and forth in time to save the world from a destructive artificial intelligence that destroys the planet, right? And then in this one episode, they go to Sarah Connor goes to a UFO convention because she's looking for someone, and John Connor's making fun of UFO nuts for being conspiracy theorists. I'm like, dude, you literally are from the future, or you're from the past, and you sent yourself back from the future to save the planet from a destructive artificial intelligence. That doesn't make any sense, dude. You know that shit gets crazy. It doesn't make any sense. They do the same thing in cop shows.
Aliens, that's too far.
Yeah, that's a bridge too far. They do the same thing in cop shows. They're like, oh, some government conspiracy is real, but then they call other people conspiracy theorists. I'm like, you know that conspiracies are a real thing. Why are you talking like this? It's because the writers can't connect with it.
No,
because
they're dumb. See, they deserve to do anything.
They deserve to go on strike. This is their.
Don't you know that nobody conspires to do anything ever? And
nope.
If you have a theory that anyone is conspiring to do something, then you're wrong.
That's that great George Carlin bit where he says you don't need a formal conspiracy when like-minded interests converge. They go to the same colleges, they're part of the same fraternities, they're part of the same social clubs. They know what's best for them. They enact things that work in their best interest, the interest of all of them in their group. It's not a conspiracy theory.
Corn Pop sent us a little devil
Thank
emoji.
you, Corn Pop. Jacob Edler says, Brett's yelling again. Yes, I am yelling again because it's stupid when they don't understand that you are from the future sending back artificially intelligent robots to save the world, but UFOs are just crazy.
That's just, too wild. Bryce E said Halo Landfall was better than the entire TV series.
That's one of the few times I just gave up. I watched episode 1 of Halo and I'm like, this is like a wine mom. Like all of the women look like wine moms. Sorry.
And it's not for wine moms.
No, it's not.
Which is weird.
It was stupid.
Clint said, just rescinded my like. I don't capitulate to demands. Oh, come on. Can you like it if I request that you like it? Okay.
Yes. Okay, I need to know. In the chat, who is it that just said that? I said I missed the point about that. So it says Wookie Monster says I missed the point.
What's the point?
What is the point? They didn't point it out as if it was supposed to be ridiculous or stupid that he. Maybe I missed something. I don't know, but. Yeah, I don't think I missed the point on that. I think that most of the time when they include those types of things about conspiracy theories, I think it's the writers not connecting with the fact that in universe they should believe these things or should at least not dismiss them out of hand.
They think that all the characters they write politically align with them or whatever.
Yes, in a lot of ways.
Clef the Misfit said, voted yes to caring about the writer's strike, but only because I hope it lasts forever. They can't subvert and wokeify beloved IPs if they're striking. Plus, we get a reprieve from the nightly DNC talk shows.
I mean, they can definitely still wokeify TV. All they need is producers and scab writers to do that, unfortunately. But hopefully, they're not as bad.
Corn Pop sent some lemons.
Thank you.
Again, thank you. X said in Italian. Okay, yeah. Corn Pop said in Italian, quote, "Marry me. If you're married, please get divorced."
Well, that's quite a thing to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Is he Italian?
He must be Italian.
I wonder.
Read one more and then we'll move on.
Unusable Alpaca said, I love the 2-person format. Y'all have great chemistry and the show often flows better unless the guest is topical to the stories y'all are going over for the episode.
Well, thank you for enjoying these episodes.
You're basically saying, like, never have a guest on.
So just us all the time.
Well, I guess we're going to cover something dark next.
Let's do it.
Recently, Roman Polanski's wife decided she was having a normal one and wanted to interview his child R-word victim, who is now an adult. Interesting choice, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what would possess someone to do this.
So he posed for a picture with Samantha Geimer.
He also posed for a selfie with his victim. And this is all like confirmed, if you didn't know, happened in the 1970s. She was 13. He drugged and R-worded her and pled guilty to doing so.
He got 5 of the 6 charges were dropped in a plea agreement, and it became what was I thought the terminology was absolutely dystopian. What was it? It was unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor, which sounds like something they would give one of these female teachers that end up having sex with their male students.
But now Samantha Geimer, the victim, frames this as if it's exactly that. Like, it was no big deal. I was choosing to do that. It was the norm in the industry. She was starting out as a model and said that there were all these other girls her age doing exactly the same things with men who were, I guess at the time he was in his 40s?
Yep.
Yeah. So really disgusting stuff, but not surprising.
There's something to be said for her to say that the R word doesn't define her, meaning that she's moved on past it. But that's like, it's almost like a weird level of delusion.
But you're also dwelling on it by still
exactly.
literally hanging out with the person who did that to you.
Like
his wife.
What I would hope to have heard there is like her moving on, like, I've moved on past it.
Meaning I'm done talking about it.
And done talking to him because of what he did to me.
Yeah.
But what happened to me doesn't define me.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're seeing here. This is a strange story, guys.
She was 13 when Polanski gave her alcohol and pills, R-worded, and sodomized her in the home of Jack Nicholson. She said, "Let me be very clear. What happened with Polanski was never a big problem for me. I didn't even know it was illegal, and someone could be arrested for it. I was fine. I'm still fine. The fact that we've made this thing up weighs on me terribly. To have to constantly repeat that it wasn't a big deal is a terrible burden."
She sued him for R-word in the 90s?
So she's saying despite the fact that she sued him and had him, pay his due to society for his crime.
Yep.
And admits that it was a crime.
And he's not allowed here in America.
It's not a big deal?
He fled prosecution here in America because what happened was he was supposed to get time served, and the judge said, no, I'm going to give this dude 50 years, and he just fled to France.
He still has an arrest warrant.
There's still an arrest warrant for him here.
And she calls that absurd. She says he should not have an arrest warrant in the U.S. and
there is no
that this is taking it too far.
There is no, as far as is there a statute of limitations on R-word? I mean, it wouldn't matter anyways because you fled prosecution.
Yeah.
So that, and also there
are also 5 other women who've made accusations.
Yeah, there was. I saw Charlotte Lewis, Renee Langer, Valentine Monnier.
So it's like, are these women allowed to think that it was a big deal to them? Or do they have to think it was fine as well?
To be fair, she's not speaking
and she's
for them.
kind of putting this her story together with like the Me Too movement. When her story came out, back before we were ever at that cultural point.
Yep. Well, she says that
part of Me Too.
She says that the media early on was hesitant to believe her story because of the culture around Hollywood at the time, meaning that they were more skeptical of her at the time than they would be now, which would be they would take her word implicitly now as, believe all women. They would trust her
Did
implicitly.
people not believe her
back
then?
She said that there was a lot of hesitancy to believe her story at the time.
But now that everyone believes her and everyone wants to cash in her trauma coins for juicy headlines,
it's crazy.
She's right in pointing out that that's cheap and transactional in a way that it's more gross.
So he gave her Quaaludes and champagne.
Okay.
Just
she said that in the 1970s, sex was recreational and sometimes transactional. That's, one thing when it's between adults.
Yes.
And I hate saying that because I still don't find it excusable. But it's a completely other thing when you're a 13-year-old, okay? And you're not even conscious. She also
dude, it's like it's almost like she's assuming that the people wouldn't hear the part about the whole Quaalude and champagne thing part, right? Like
yeah, that's not even okay if it's an adult.
No, that's even that that's not
just brush past.
That's not transactional because that's stealing. Actually, if we're talking in the terms of transactions, you've just stolen. You haven't actually done any type of transaction.
Polanski's wife added, "I remember the time when I was starting to work. I became a model at 14 years old. All the girls, the models, slept with photographers, and I was no exception. But sex was something normal, a natural aspect of life. There wasn't all this drama and darkness surrounding sex."
Again, if you're an adult and you want to sleep with a photographer to get a role, good on you. I don't give a crap. That's your Mary would say that's a bad thing. I don't care as long as you're not coming back 20 years later and saying that he did something.
What it means is that you're taking a gamble with reckless behavior behind closed doors.
But you're an adult.
If it doesn't give you the results that you want,
but if you're an adult, I think you have the right to do that.
Then you're going to think of it as getting taken advantage of when in fact you weren't. If you were an adult at the time. But I think that these are two out of touch, old, senile women who are kind of burying their trauma under blanket criticism of the Me Too movement. When, I'm happy to criticize the Me Too movement. It's just that this has nothing to do with it.
Yep.
Geimer also added that feminine desire has been annihilated. It's sad for women, but especially for young women. Imagine reaching adulthood in this era. It seems appalling to me. I don't see what's so feminist about claiming victimhood. Today, how can you say that an actual victim, with a right to claim victimhood? If you are a victim, then you're perfectly in your rights to claim victimhood.
It's really funny because this is under different circumstances, this would be quite an interesting thing to hear somebody say.
I wouldn't say it's a feminist gesture to claim victimhood if you're a victim.
Yeah.
But it's right.
Yeah.
If you're actually the victim of something. She said, today women's pain is valued and there's a whole industry that exploits suffering. True.
She's right about that.
Those who participate in it don't know what they're stepping into. Me, I know because I've been around, seen loads of people approach me saying they have the best intentions in the world and going, come, speak, the world wants to know. They want to know the truth. Except the truth is that they only have their careers and their TV shows in mind. Yeah, that's true. I'm sure tons of people have gone to Samantha Geimer saying hey, I'd love to give you an interview on my show, on my podcast, or I would love to give you a book deal, which she did actually take. She wrote a memoir that came out back in 2014 that talked about this even more. She has not let go of the subject, which I think pokes holes in what she's saying, that she's over it and that it was no big deal.
It says that she sued him in 1988 for intentional infliction of emotional distress and seduction, alleging SA. The case was settled out of court in 93, so it dragged for quite a few years. And I think at a certain point he was still he was like still outdated on his payment. I'm hoping that he's at least paid his debt to her.
He also
Otherwise,
gave her a handwritten note apologizing for what happened.
Dude is just a scumbag.
And we have a full admission that this did happen, but at the same time, we know that it says here, like people like Woody Allen, Wes Anderson, Terry Gilliam. We have also David Lynch, Martin Scorsese.
All those people.
All of these
from
people
old Hollywood.
signing an open letter in his defense for his name to be cleared of an action that he fully admitted that he did.
Yep.
That's what Hollywood is. That's what the Hollywood establishment still defends to this day, but pretends not to. And I think I understand Geimer's point when she says, you know, if people wanted me to speak out about my abuse, then 1977 would have been a good year to do that. But why now?
And they wonder why everyone that's a normal human being is so worried about them trying to normalize stuff like maps, because that's what they want. They want to normalize this type of behavior from these people.
And expecting adult behavior from children and little things like that.
Yep.
She said if someone had something to say about Roman Polanski, about my mistreatment, 1977 would have been a really good year to help me. And she said everyone was attacking us. No one came to stand by my side. And no one, she says, in that time period believed her.
Yep.
But now when it's something you can cash in on to, you know, exploit somebody's story...
And in the chat...
they're happy to believe her and listen and believe.
And in the chat, Carm says, let's not pretend that the weird recent obsession with finding any excuse to identify as a victim isn't bizarre or unhealthy. No, you're absolutely right. It is bizarre and unhealthy when it isn't an actual case of victimhood, but this is a clear-cut case of victimhood.
I think in the real cases of victimhood, you're more likely to see someone denying that something bad happened.
One of my favorite things is watching old television shows when like a character's like, I don't want to be seen as a victim, and I'm just like, nowadays that's the opposite of the case. Nowadays they want to be seen as the victim because there's too much social currency.
That something actually horrific happened to you is too much to take, and you have to just live with the story in your head that it was no big deal.
Yep.
And that sounds like what she's doing here. There is no... She should not be around this person. That's insane.
No, it's very, very strange.
Like to relive interacting with this guy.
It would be, I mean...
At this old age.
You've seen those stories, right? Of like somebody who... like somebody murders like a person, and then like the father or the mother forgives the person who did it because of it's easier on their heart to show
find
forgiveness.
peace.
Yeah, like to find peace. Like this is not that.
No.
Not really. Not in any way, shape, or form.
And if she's so over it, then I don't think she would still be talking about it. I don't think she would be in touch with him and his wife. I don't think she'd be taking a selfie with them. It's insane.
The selfie is so weird.
But she does have valid points here, criticizing the media class for exploiting people's suffering. Okay. She said people pretend to act in the name of justice or because they support me, but it's the antithesis of what I want and all I say I want. They think themselves morally superior when they're just taking the easy way out.
Okay, then here's a fair comment. Mark Daga says, is she not allowed to forgive? Is he irredeemable?
Why does that mean they have to hang out and take selfies? And why does that mean she has to continue to take media appearances talking about everything?
Yeah, like it seems
talk to his wife and have a personal relationship with him.
It seems like there's a gap there between like, yes, I forgive you, like you what you did was reprehensible, but I can find it in my heart to forgive you. But that does seem to be a long way off from media appearances and selfies. I don't know. Like it's
I don't think that forgiving someone means that you should still be in contact with them.
But I think, but to be fair to Mark in the chat, I think that's a fair question to ask. Like
people who have things like this happen to them as kids do a weird transference onto the person that hurt them, and a weird sympathy for them, and they should go through that internally and like why they feel that way, and not talk about it being no big deal, because I guarantee if this woman has a daughter of her own and something like this happens to her, that's not no big deal. That's not fine.
No.
And it's not just okay because it happened in the 70s. And stuff like this still happens in Hollywood. Anyone who denies it is complicit still in the lie.
Yep.
And we have more to talk about because Minka Kelly just put out a memoir where she's doing the, confessional tell-all Hollywood story. She talks about a time when Harvey Weinstein propositioned her to become his girlfriend.
This annoyed me more because it's the way she phrases it that, okay. So what she says is,
what does it mean to be Harvey Weinstein's girlfriend,
I know, right?
anyway?
So she writes that following the party, Weinstein requested, if you guys don't know who Minka Kelly is, she's an actress. Weinstein requested to meet her in his hotel room. She knew better. She took the Paris Hilton approach. She did not take the approach of the guy we talked about from yesterday. She said to meet him in the restaurant. So she met him in the restaurant, and Weinstein offered her a, quote, wonderful life, private jet access, and unlimited shopping sprees in exchange for being his girlfriend.
What does that mean to be
does that mean?
his
Yeah.
girlfriend, since he was such a sex pest that you would never have an exclusive relationship with him? I don't get it.
And she says, women are often taught to never offend or upset men when declining his advances. We're taught men have fragile egos, and when you simply say no without dancing around it to make him feel you're honored by his invitation, you run the risk of him lashing out at you.
You weren't really afraid of Harvey lashing out at you. Come on.
I mean, maybe in the sense of like afraid that she's not going to get work in the future. She feigned flattery and told Weinstein that they should keep the relationship professional, while Kelly and her agent laughed off his advances as being part and parcel with slimy old Harvey. She said she now sees the interaction differently. When all the Me Too details emerged, I realized I'd been complicit in protecting him, she wrote. I was also complicit in making him feel okay about the gross proposition that he'd made. He's a scumbag. We're not going to dance around that. But was that offer gross?
His proposition wasn't gross.
It was
Her
just
behavior here, though, is gross. The fact that she was buddy-buddy with Harvey Weinstein, knowing, as she said here, that he was slimy old Harvey, knowing the way that he treated women, and knowing, of course, not to be behind closed doors with him, not going to the hotel room.
Means she knew.
Knowing his track record, how can you admit your complicity so brazenly here, as if you're a hero?
Yeah.
Like, you're not a hero for admitting that you did something wrong. That doesn't make anything right. Like, nobody in Hollywood had the balls to call out this behavior at the time. And then afterwards, they're like, yeah, we all knew.
It's like she understands when she came to the wrong conclusion about the part that was wrong.
I hate the way that people talk, the way that celebrities talk about Harvey Weinstein now, because they make it out like they were so afraid of him.
Yeah.
Like they had anything to lose from not working with him.
Yep.
Like all of these people who were friends with him and colleagues with him are acting like they were victims.
Well, it's the only way they can get through this story without
but they
being
were
complicit.
They were accomplices. Yep. And she literally admits this.
At the very
least, it's like she doesn't even feel bad.
If not, it's a justification in their head for just like, it's not my business, not my problem, therefore.
But it is her business because she was a personal friend of him.
Yeah. So
like, that's insane.
And I mean, I get the argument.
She's just painting it like she was one of Harvey's victims.
But here's the thing, like, there is an argument to be made that, like, look, like if he hasn't done anything illegal to you, what is it? What is her responsibility? Is her responsibility to tell the industry? Is it her responsibility to tell the cops that she knows that he did something to someone else? And a lot of people just end up leaving it at the door and say it's not my responsibility. The problem is they're now reframing it as if they were victimized, right? Maybe it wasn't it wasn't your responsibility to save the world from him, but it's definitely not your right to make yourself a victim if you weren't. Mm-hmm. So, at least that would be my take on it. She's got her book coming out. Minka Kelly does. She talks about she had to embrace sexuality as the daughter of a stripper. So she had her own. I also took issue with like the part where they call her. They talk about her dysfunctional relationship with Taylor Kitsch, which very clearly is supposed to be framed as like he's the bad guy, or maybe that says more about me because I read it as like they're saying he's the bad guy. when they
I'm not sure what to make of that.
when they say well, I already lost the part. Yeah, they talk about her emotionally dysfunctional relationship with Friday Night Lights co-star Taylor Kitsch, and her, like, when I read that as like the guy's the bad guy.
Probably.
So
celebrities will find any way to reframe things that happen to them as a victimhood narrative. When she objectively wasn't one of Harvey's victims.
Yeah, and it's, but they're all lining up now to cash in on it.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't your job to save the world from him, but it's not your right to make yourself a victim that gets to then write a book about it, because you had an interaction with him at a bar where he asked you to be his girlfriend in public and you said no, and then you call that a gross offer. He did plenty of gross shit. That ain't it.
I have no idea what being Harvey Weinstein's girlfriend means, though. That's insane.
Injecting him with his
mean?
Viagra stuff.
Is that like you have to like change his diapers?
Probably.
Very
depending on what year this was, probably something along those lines. All right, we got a couple of super chats there.
Corn Pop said John Stewie. As in Jon Stewart. He will not be missed. The Last of My Kind said, heard that rumor for Manson and Dennis Rodman.
Yep. Oh my God. That was a rumor for Dennis Rodman as well. I forgot about that.
I didn't know.
It's like all at the same time. It's like it's all smashed into this
There's a weird cultural
amalgam of
obsession
90
with autofellatio.
With, well, because they were both like considered weird people, right? Because Dennis Rodman had the crazy hair.
Well, they are weird, but why do you need to like make up a story about that?
Yeah.
It's weird. Gordon Shumway said, all this time experts have been saying automation was going to take away blue-collar jobs. AI is now killing white-collar jobs. Oh, the irony. # learn to code. They're saying that even learning to code, even AI is going to learn to code.
And then you won't be able to do that either.
Unlikely, but hey, don't say it's off the table, you know? Big Derp Energy said, testing new card.
Well, hello, Big Derp Energy.
Oh.
And there is a $20 one right there from Jon Stewart, though I'm guessing not the same Jon Stewart that we're talking about.
Corn Pop. Okay, Jon Stewart said, that hurts, Mary.
No.
Okay. Sorry, I thought it was a different Jon Stewart.
Different Jon Stewart. TV Jon Stewart.
Maybe it's
definitely
Corn
not Green
Pop.
Lantern Jon Stewart.
Maybe it's Corn Pop on his alt account. Bobcat said, I promise if I bring you guys pizza, there will be no secret things in it. Yeah, I want to know what the secret things were.
What was it? Did it say best pizza of life or something like that?
I didn't like the way that they were chewing it. But the Will Smith video was worse.
All right, one more and then we'll move on. Got one left anyway.
Last of My Kind said, that Star Wars trailer seems like something Kathleen Kennedy would write.
Probably, you know. Well,
Might be better.
I mean, anything's better than stuff Kathleen Kennedy would write. All right, guys, we're moving on. So if you want to know what's down the line from all of the dysfunction around Roman Polanski and Minka Kelly, you wonder why Hollywood is the way it is. You look at the way that their traditional relationships are, and their traditional relationships are not very traditional. Angelina Jolie says she did not feel that fidelity was necessary in her now broken marriage with Brad Pitt. She says, quote, we never restrict each other. What I've come to realize is that all of them, they put all of this under the guise of like, we're more highly evolved, we know better, you know, we're open and honest with each other, but it always just comes off as like, we just want to do whatever we want.
This message of non-monogamy seems almost totally universal from Hollywood, and it's something that I don't think normal people resonate with. Normal people want monogamous relationships.
There's a $20 one right there.
From Omni Travis. Hey, thanks for showing Hunter today. He got to see himself on screen. It was great. Good show as usual. Did he attack the screen?
Did he cry from his representation finally being on screen, just like all the mermaids?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was. And you're welcome, my friend. Thank you. I want to point out that you're right. The first thing I think of when I see this is this. Look, this is a luxury. It's a facade. It's a luxury that's only afforded to rich people. Normal people who just get into relationships because they want to find somebody that they care about, love, get married, have kids, so that they can start a life together. It's about building that life together. It's not about some type of like a la carte menu of romance.
Even monogamous relationships among ordinary people that are relatively meaningless and not directed towards eventually getting married or having a family, they still at least maintain the pretense of monogamy and exclusivity. And when you go outside of that relationship, have sex with other people or whatever, it is cheating. It's called something, and it's not just a free-for-all.
Well, she says, I doubt that fidelity is absolutely essential for a relationship. Well, all of history would tell you that you're wrong, Miss Jolie.
It's like Jordan Peterson says, maybe monogamy isn't the best thing in the world, but it's the best thing we found.
Yep.
She also said it's worse to leave your partner and talk badly about him afterwards. Well, that's exactly what you did.
Well, you failed at that too, lady. Jesus Christ, you're batting over 2 here.
She said, neither Brad nor I have ever claimed that living together means to be chained together. We make sure that we never restrict each other. So does that mean that he brings other women around in the house at the same time? This is also ironic because I think everyone knows the story that Brad Pitt got with Angelina Jolie when he was still married to Jennifer Aniston, making her a homewrecker.
Yep.
So I don't think that she really respects any relationships, monogamous or not.
Yep. And just because I think you're smoking hot, Angelina, does not mean you get a pass here.
She's definitely in a critical point on that crazy hot scale.
Yeah. It's the eyes and the lips.
Something.
You forgive a lot.
She was with who was she with in that, like...
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton, where she had like the
kissed her brother too, and
pendant full of his blood.
Yeah, she was
very LARPy. It was like
Megan
Megan Fox before Megan Fox was with MGK.
She walked so Megan Fox could
Except
run.
Maybe Billy Bob Thornton had more testosterone in his body than MGK.
Yes, absolutely. And she also like made out with her
How
brother or something.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. That was like it was.
Why did everyone forget about that?
Mary, it was the 90s. Are
was
you kidding
incest
me?
okay in the 90s?
Apparently
I'm
it was
very
okay.
confused.
Apparently it was okay.
Maybe we did need progress.
Banjo music intensifies.
Yeah. So I also found these other articles about celebrities who talk about the fact that they don't practice monogamy and how they're so above that.
Do you think a lot of this is also just because they're so busy that they don't even have, it's not even about being in a relationship. It's about like not wanting to go home and like having someone you know will be home when you get there, maybe sort of. The
fact is celebrities love themselves way too much to love another person in a real authentic relationship. They're too narcissistic. I don't believe that they're capable of having real, even friendships, to be honest, because their entire lives are about themselves. And also, your job is to be traveling all over the globe. You go to these like tropical locations for like 6 months at a time. It's essentially summer camp where you're in this very intense experience with a circle of people, and you're filming love and sex scenes with a different person than your spouse. Chris, we got a super chat from Perturbed Alpaca. Brett, out here with abuser brand taglines, eyes and lips, you'll forgive a lot.
Well, you know what? You got to type. I say the same thing about Sydney Sweeney because she's got very pretty eyes.
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney's got very pretty eyes. But Chris O'Donnell talked about how he was on the fast track of being he was going to be a movie star, and he wanted to go to do television because he got married and he had kids and he wanted to be able to he went and did NCIS LA because he gets to be in the same place and he gets home to see his kids every night. So he made
there's nothing wrong with
a choice. Granted, he got to kiss Bar Pally on that show, and Bar Pally is a very beautiful woman. So maybe that's we'll have that discussion again another day about whether it's cheating on set. But the point is he made the choice to give up that lifestyle and move to just do television because it allowed him to be closer to his wife and his kids. And I used to make the joke that I'm like, and it shows because he definitely dad bods as the show goes on. Like he's just like he's not paying as close attention to his physical fitness. But you have to make that choice. Movie stars can't make that choice because, like you said, they're going around the world. They're always on the move.
Yeah, I think it's interesting also that the celebrities talking about non-monogamy, which is now in this day and age called polyamory.
Yeah.
They're generally attractive people. They're some of the most attractive people that exist.
Yep.
Angelina Jolie, one of the most attractive women alive.
Yep.
But the people that practice polyamory on your TikTok For You page are repulsive
ugliest
looking,
people on earth.
obese freaks. So what does that say about their lifestyle choice? Physiognomy is real, folks. If someone is not trustworthy, they will not look trustworthy.
Just saying, Chris O'Donnell did get to make out with this lady, so, you know, rough life if you can get it.
Yeah. It's just having a normative family structure and having a normative exclusive marriage, which is meant to be permanent, is punished in Hollywood. So that's why they often don't stick by those societal rules or boundaries. Look, but when normal people do it, it's celebrated the same way by the media.
And one of these days, I'll make a list. There are we downplayed, but there are plenty of celebrities that have been married for decades and decades.
I believe it's been statistically looked into, and it's like less than 10% of marriages from like Hollywood couples.
Well, you know, in a world
lasting.
where in a country where 50% of them for normal people fail too, that doesn't even seem like all that unrealistic.
Well, that
of a number
is inflated by second and third marriages also, and they're obviously second and third marriages are more likely to end in divorce. So if you take first marriages,
it's funny too, because Hollywood definitely does the propaganda where like second marriage is the real one. Like
the one that you really found yourself. Like you really discovered who you were, and you have self-actualization, and then you get married again.
They definitely
the real love of your life.
They do the shtick where it's like, I was too young the first time. I didn't know what I was doing. The second time around, that's when I married for real.
The story of Brangelina's divorce is sad because it sounds like Brad Pitt wanted to reconcile their relationship, wanted counseling, wanted to resolve their issues, and Angelina didn't.
We all know that guys overwhelmingly are not the ones that initiate divorce, that women are the ones that initiate divorce.
But who knows all of these rumors about him abusing their kids or being a whack job are true. They definitely could be because celebrities are insane. But that's a sad story, and it's sort of giving Eat, Pray, Love. Like, as I was saying, the woman in Eat, Pray, Love, it begins with her divorcing her husband in a literal no-fault divorce situation and refusing to reconcile with him after he begs for reconcile.
I'm sorry, but that is one of the biggest things that frustrates me is like, it's all of, we got a $20 one right there.
X said, even poly people get this wrong. Non-monogamy is called that, or ENM with E for ethical. Polyamory is a property of a person. The capacity to have romantic feelings for multiple people as opposed to just passionate feelings.
Okay.
That's stupid. It's not an identity to not be able to hold a real relationship. And the only real relationship is one that you have with one other person. You cannot have real relationships with a group of people.
Look, and the other thing I want to say here is like, look, when it comes to these things, Hollywood and in the music industry for decades has pushed this narrative that like, look, guys are players, guys are the ones that leave, cheating scumbags who leave their girlfriends high and dry. But we know, in the statistics back up that women initiate 70 or 80% of divorces, and even when the relationship's bad, men want to keep trying. They want to keep trying, and a lot of women just want out.
Well, that's a more complex situation when you're talking about people outside of Hollywood. Yeah. For inside Hollywood, I think all men and women from that world act like the player.
Yeah.
They're all that.
Yeah.
Because they're all self-involved and pathologically narcissistic. They cannot focus on anyone but themselves.
Here are some of the women and men who have talked about non-monogamous relationships. Scarlett Johansson, Whoopi Goldberg. In her book, If Someone Says You Complete Me, Run. How dare you? How dare you? Cameron Diaz, pre-marriage to husband Benji Madden, whom she wed in 2015. She says, I don't know how if anyone is really naturally monogamous. Dude, all of these shows, like House did this.
Literally everyone is naturally monogamous.
House did this. Bones did this. It was one of my favorite things about Bones because she would rail against monogamy in the show. And it's just one of the many things that she constantly gets proven wrong about the human condition by Booth. That she's like, it's not natural for people to be monogamous. And then, of course, she gets married to a guy. She's like, I don't believe in religion. Oh, I'll let our kids have. She was like, I don't want kids. Then they have kids. I don't want religion in the house.
That's how it goes a lot of the times in real life.
Yep.
Willow Smith is also on this list.
I saw that.
Can't imagine why she would grow up thinking that monogamy is not the norm.
Jada is on the list as well. Is on the other list.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Will's totally okay with it.
I'm sorry, but the Brian Austin Green one, which is sad because he's in Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles, and this is the saddest one out of all of them. I'm going to read this one. Megan Fox and Brian Austin Green. Actors Megan Fox and Brian Austin Green allegedly had a one-sided open relationship at one stage, with Fox allowed the freedom for a fling outside of their marriage. They have a term for that. It's called cuck. Sorry. It says they agreed to an open relationship where Megan can see other men, but Brian can't date anyone else. I can literally feel his penis shrinking. I can see his penis shrinking from here.
And if
ridiculous.
he had maybe just taken a stand for his own dignity, they wouldn't have gotten divorced in the first place.
Seriously, like at the very least, like either I get to bang
have
other
respect
chicks,
for him.
Either I get to bang other chicks too, or you don't get shit.
Or just be like, we're going to have an exclusive relationship whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
We have kids together, and this is the commitment you've made to me. And I guess if you don't like that, then leave.
Like, she's hot. She's not that hot to sacrifice your dignity, dude. That's embarrassing.
It's crazy. That's the problem. I also saw this awful comment from Hugh Grant. He said, I can see the lovely aspect if you marry exactly the right person, your best friend, and it's cozy and lovely, but people make so many mistakes. Do I think human beings are meant to be in 40-year-long monogamous faithful relationships? No, no, no. Whoever said they were? Only the Bible or something.
Yeah, it's,
you're so much better than those religious people who think that you should be in faithful relationships.
But not even just
Aren't
religious
they
people.
stupid?
Not even just religious people. Normal people who work normal 9-to-5 jobs, who have bigger concerns in their life, like wanting to start a family. You don't have to be religious to want to start a family, but you certainly do need a stable home to start a family.
I don't know where they got this idea that like monogamy is a product of religion, when in fact like it's just what most people naturally want.
Thank you.
And they clearly don't understand what most people want. Which is why they're also incapable of making rom-coms anymore.
Yeah, well, because they would have to make it polyamorous.
Coming from Hugh Grant of all people.
Yep.
We also have Dolly Parton on this list. She talked about
but we
cheating.
give her a pass.
She said if we cheat, we don't know it. So if we do cheat, it's very good for the both of us.
What?
I don't want to know it if he's cheating on me. If I'm cheating on him, he wouldn't want me to know it.
They've been
and if
together
we do,
for like,
it's what's making it work, then that's fine.
And she's been married for like 40 years.
Crazy.
Her husband is like not in the public eye. He's like a construction foreman or something. He works like a regular job.
Is he crushing it? Or is Dolly Parton?
Apparently, he's been married with her forever. Yeah.
I don't know. That just seems awful that you could say that. Especially, I mean, you're literally admitting it right now.
Yeah.
You're making it known right now that you've cheated on him. So you're going against your own rule.
Courier626 says polycules are the future, not because we want it, but because the rent is too damn high.
Dude.
There's something to be said about that.
That's life in big cities is just all of your relationships, all of the connections you make with people are about real estate at the end of the day.
That's real. Well, I mean, and that's kind of, it's kind of cynical, but that's kind of the argument that I'm making is like the reason that the average person can't afford this luxury view of relationships is because there's bills to pay and you're starting a family together. Both people are working, right? Mm-hmm. The guy's working and the girl's working. We don't live in the fantasy anymore where 80% of the population is men working and the women staying at home. Nowadays, most of the women have to work too in these relationships. So like, can they afford to raise kids, go to work and have these types of relationships? No, they can't because their life doesn't afford that luxury.
Mm-hmm. I also saw this quote from Lizzo about monogamy. She said, monogamy to me is a little claustrophobic because there are rules. Are you saying there's not enough space for you, Lizzo?
That's
I think a love relationship that's not monogamous has no rules. I think people who do poly and all that stuff, there are still rules. I don't want any rules, but that doesn't mean I'm out here I won't read this part. It doesn't mean he is either. It just means that there are no expectations. And that way, love gets to just be the main event.
Well, none of them want rules and they don't want any boundaries because they're immature.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And maybe that's the same reason she can't stick to a diet. Too many rules.
I hate those rules. The calorie count and going into calorie deficit, those are hard rules to set for yourself.
So stupid. And it's funny because, like, when you introduce polyamory or non-monogamy or whatever the hell you want to call your degeneracy, that's when the rules come in, because everyone naturally is repulsed by that behavior and repulsed by seeing someone they love with another person. So you have to make up a bunch of stupid rules. And it's just not love anymore. And it's not hot anymore when you have to make up a bunch of stupid rules. That's why BDSM is like what has taken over sex right now, like the sex culture, because you have taken every risk out of sex by making it not connected to love and not connected to creating life. So you've taken all the danger out of what it means to have sex, like completely, and you've made it this safe, neutered activity that is essentially
it's pleasure based and not designed around reproducing life, and definitely not based on love.
You've taken all the danger out of it, so it's not exciting anymore. So you have to then attach the BDSM stuff to it as an accessory. You have to buy all of these accessories for it, and then like overlay all of these rules onto it so that it can be dangerous again, and it's just not the same.
There is an amazing episode of House where they have a open relationship couple on there, and of course the whole episode is them trying to figure, House is like, no, they're lying, like there's something wrong with it, and she goes no, they're completely open with one another, and he's like, if because basically they have an open relationship, she has boyfriends, he doesn't have girlfriends. There's a $20 one right there.
This one's from Big Derp Energy. Brett, people say they can't afford a family. They can't afford a family with a nice car and the home in the city. They choose entertainment and convenience. Having kids is about sacrifice for all except the very rich.
Well, yes, of course. And to make that sacrifice, then they would have to make that sacrifice on multiple fronts. And people and celebrities are not willing to make any sacrifices because they don't have to, because they've got the money to not have to make them. But the average person, you have to make sacrifices to make your relationships work. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, so in this episode, right, they the girl, the wife has a boyfriend on the side. The guy doesn't, and he's like, wants to figure out. No, and he wants to figure out why. He goes, if the only reason that he would allow her to have a boyfriend, well, he's not doing anything with any girls, is that he's making up for something else that he did wrong that's even worse than cheating. And it turns out it's that he lost his job and hasn't been able to pay a bill in like a year, and he's been hiding it from her. So he's letting her cheat because he feels guilty about the fact that he's lying to her about their finances. Mm-hmm. And he goes, it's not a unicorn, it's a slutty camel.
If you want to talk about like power imbalances, this is about power imbalances. The Megan Fox and Brian Austin Green one.
Oh, that's
she has all the power.
Dude. All of it. And I mean, and he relinquished that power voluntarily by not setting boundaries.
It was a shit test, if you really think about it.
Putting his foot down. Yeah, like it's embarrassing. I feel, and it's like, it's sad too.
Failed.
If you look at the dude, it's like this, he's a tall, good looking dude. He's got, like they're in the same industry. He's an actor. It's not like there's a power imbalance in their professions. You could say she was a bigger star than him, but so what? Yeah. Like there shouldn't be that level of a difference there. This is more down to his personality, and he let it happen, and that's sad. Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's go to Super Chats. We got some there.
X said relationships are not poly. People are poly, and people are often better served in monogamous relationships, whether that individual is poly or not. No, poly is not a state of ontological being, and this is a brain dead take. Sorry. Urashima Otaru said 30% of koalas have chlamydia and can give to humans. Okay, but why would you get chlamydia from a koala? How would that happen? Sus. But yeah, I did remember, like, I'm pretty sure a ton of koalas have chlamydia for some reason.
And there's one more from X. Two more from X.
For many people, monogamy is a way to avoid fear of loss or fear of inadequacy, which are the underpinnings of all jealousy without exception. Look up the word compersion and understand it.
But, I mean, those fears aren't just about jealousy. I mean, those are existential fears that come with getting older and things far more vast than just the concept of jealousy, right?
I mean, you can say that someone is doing the right thing for the wrong reason, but it's still the right thing. if you get married to someone that you love partly for selfish reasons,
well,
nobody shouldn't get married.
Yeah, nobody's 100% giving when you get married.
This is such a stupid take that people who are in non-monogamous relationships, which aren't really relationships, are somehow more enlightened and mature than everyone else.
But isn't even like the underpinnings of relationships in general were never meant to be 100% giving. It was about the woman gives you her best years and children, and the man provides you with financial security and protection as you get older and you leave your prime, birthing years, right? Like there's a level of give and take in all relationships.
Yeah.
For these things.
It doesn't make them purely like transactional.
Yeah. I mean, there is a transactional nature to it, but it's part of how we are as human beings.
People like often boil
because it has to be a transaction because men cannot give themselves
transactional aspects of it.
Men cannot give themselves kids. Women, well, I guess now they can protect themselves. But you understand what I'm saying, right? Like men cannot give themselves kids. Therefore, that is in a way a transaction. But you could also argue that the average person can't give themselves the happiness that a family provides. That doesn't make it transactional.
No.
It's just the outcome.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Disco Jensen
one more.
has one. An entire generation thinks relationships aren't supposed to have struggles. The cozy idea of finding the perfect partner is new, breaking society.
Yep. And remember, this one of the reasons this podcast exists is because these ideas are popularized or were originally popularized by celebrities. Now they're popularized by TikTok and social media.
Hey, leave it to the TikTokers to normalize polyamory because they are fugly freaks.
Yeah, if we're going to have polyamory, I demand hot polyamory, not ugly polyamory.
Exist.
If I have to deal with horrible values in relationships, I demand it be from hot celebrities, not from ugly people on TikTok.
Or Lizzo.
Those are my demands.
Yes.
All right. Mary, all right. Before we go, could you like this video? Could you subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Thank you guys for putting up with this. I know my voice is still not sounding the greatest, but thank you for joining us today. Like I said, like this video if you have not done so already. Mary, where can they find you?
Yes, you can send me validation on Instagram. That's Mary Archived. Or you can send me hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok? What if I made a TikTok? It'd be horrible. A polyamory TikTok.
I want to make a TikTok.
Jerry, I don't want to make a TikTok.
Oh, I forgot to mention also that after tomorrow, I am going to make an appearance on the I'm Doing Great podcast. So tune in then, I guess.
When will that be?
Thursday.
Will the appearance be seen the same day you're doing the show?
I'm pretty sure it's live.
Okay.
But maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. What time? Better not be on at the same time as us here.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
All right, guys. If you want to follow me, Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both platforms. There's one more right there, Mary, from X. One more.
It hasn't shown up for me.
Oh,
yet.
it's I'll say it says from X. It says if you want hot poly people, take up blues dancing.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't dance, so. All right, guys, so you can follow me on there. The show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen to this podcast rather than watch, we're on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we are on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.